As many of you know, April 18th is tax day. This means that if you haven't done so already, you'll be among the many Americans scrambling to figure out and complete complicated tax forms built around an archaic and excessive tax code with the simple hope that some of your hard-earned money might get returned from the government. Let me repeat, all in the hopes that the government will give you back some of the money you earned in the first place. Unfortunately, many Americans will be disappointed with the result. In my travels across Minnesota, I often speak with families and business owners who are struggling due to this nation's confusing and outdated and overly burdensome tax system. In fact, one of the most common requests I hear from frustrated constituents is that something must be done about this country's tax code before it destroys their ability to succeed. Like many of you, I know we can't tax our way into prosperity while forcing hardworking Americans to foot the bill. For that reason, our efforts in Congress will be largely focused on reforming our tax code as well as enacting pro-growth policies that help working families prosper and Main Street businesses thrive instead of just barely survive. While there's much left to do, fortunately, our efforts have already begun. Back in June, House Republicans introduced a new tax reform plan which would restructure our tax code so that American families can keep more of their hard-earned money, American businesses have the chance to grow and expand, and our economy can grow into the superpower it should be. This plan would also reshape the Internal Revenue Service and require them to put the American people first, because a legitimate tax code requires a legitimate tax collector. Just last week, the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation released their state-by-state analysis of our tax reform blueprint. The results of the plan would lead to an almost 10% increase in after-tax incomes for Minnesota families and would add more than 33,000 full-time jobs in our great state of Minnesota. But we can't delay. We must act now. In Minnesota, we have unfortunately become all too familiar with the consequences of an outdated, overly burdensome, regressive tax system. Just 3 years ago, Minnesota lost Medtronic, one of the nation's leading medical device manufacturers, to Ireland, which has a corporate tax rate that is drastically lower than the United States. The U.S. has the highest corporate tax rate in the developed world, and Medtronic has not been the only company to take their business elsewhere. In fact, since 2012, at least 22 American corporations have moved overseas. That's why we introduced our bill called the Create Jobs Act, which will help keep companies and jobs right here at home. To be more specific, our bill will set our nation's tax rate 5 percentage points lower than the average tax rate of the 34 free market countries that we currently trade with. This will sustain our businesses and allow for more job creation. If we're ever going to have an environment where every family and every business has the chance to succeed, we must continue to fight for a complete rewrite of this country's tax policy. Until we achieve that goal, legislation like our Create Jobs Act and our tax reform blueprint will help give families and innovators, entrepreneurs, and businesses the chance to succeed and promote prosperity right here at home. I look forward to working with my colleagues in Congress and with the Trump administration to combat the tax problem that we currently face in this country and to push solutions forward. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.